Kobe Bryant recently did an interview with Patrick Bet-David, part of a PHP agency, insurance agency convention. They gave him a hypothetical question talking about, with your work ethic, basically, how would things play out with Shaq? Kobe quickly responded saying that Shaq will be the greatest of all time, and Kobe and Shaq collectively will have 12 rings. A lot of people look at something like this and say it's hyperbole. This is ridiculous. Kobe don't know what he's talking about. But the thing is, what people don't understand about Kobe being Bryant is this. He says what he means what he says. When Kobe came into the league, a lot of people automatically thought that he just wanted to be like Mike, 6 rings, etc., etc. Kobe Bryant told Rick Fox, and you could confirm this with Rick Fox himself, when Kobe came in the game, his goal wasn't to win 6 rings. It was to win 10 rings. Kobe said, I want to be the greatest ever. I want to win 10 rings. So his work ethic showed on the court to the point where when he actually retired, he retired with 5 rings. Half of his goal, but still a lofty goal. Still went to 7 NBA finals. And he's trying to let you know that with his work ethic, Kobe, if you think about this too, Kobe didn't have as much raw talent as Shaq. But with his work ethic, he got the 5 rings. Shaq had more raw talent than Kobe. Shaq took the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals in, what is this, like 94 or something like that, 95. So Shaq had more raw talent. So just imagine a Kobe-infused Shaq. A Shaq that was staying in shape. A Shaq that was dominant on all levels, that would every year increase his skill. Because you guys got to remember, Kobe's work ethic was this. Every single season, he came back with a little bit more skill. Added more to his fadeaway. Added more to his dribbling. Added more to his defensive skill. Added more to his passing ability. Every single year, he came up with more and more to the game. Shaq was just so dominant that he felt that he didn't necessarily have to do too much. He could party on Saturday, wake up on Sunday, not even go to shoot around, and get ready for that, marquee game on Sunday. And we didn't get to see Shaq at his highest point. If you really think about this, Shaq was only in shape back in his Orlando days. And the early part of the Lakers run, that 3-peat, maybe the first year he was probably in shape. Other than that, we've never seen Shaq really in shape. We've never really seen him in shape besides Orlando and that first year with the Lakers. And that is crazy that a man that never really stayed in peak physical condition could win 4 titles. Remember, 3 with LA, 3-peated, 1 in Miami. Just goes to show you, with the raw talent alone, how good Shaq was. So what Kobe is saying is not hyperbole. It's actually right on the money. Now, I don't think they would win 12 championships, but I think together, if they both stay together, work ethic wise, Shaq stays in shape. And here's another key point. If Shaq had that toe surgery, Phil Jackson was pushing for Shaq to have toe surgery, which would have helped his gait and everything like that, and he never had it. And if he had that surgery, that probably could have prolonged his career, and then Kobe and Shaq probably could have stayed, and that would have pushed Shaq to get in better shape. Maybe the toe injury was part of the reason why he wasn't getting in shape, because he had a foot injury. So that being said, those two together, both incrementally getting better. Now, mind you, think about this. They 3-peated together already. 3-peated together. They were at odds, and Shaq wasn't in shape. Imagine if Shaq is in shape. He has the same work ethic as Kobe, and that mitigates all the arguments. That reduces the amount of friction that comes between them, because Kobe's only argument with Shaq was Shaq wasn't dedicated to the game. So imagine a dedicated Shaq with a dedicated Kobe. They're winning more than 6 rings. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if they're going to get to 12, but they're winning more than 6. I think they will fall between 9 and 11 rings. 8 and 11 rings. I'll say it like that. 8 or 11 rings, because you all know health plays a major factor in it. But it's not hyperbole. He's not overstating anything. And if you really think about the game of basketball is meant to be dominated by big men. It's only most recently where we see the phenomenon where these guards and small forwards, it's like small balls taking over the NBA. But I tell you one thing, let there be a dominant center that comes into the league, a dominant big that can give you 30 and 10. Everybody's going to be reverting back to getting a dominant big, because the game is made for big men. Some of the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball are all big men. They're all big men. They hold most of the, Wilt Chamberlain holds most of the records, average most of the points. Kareem, points leader. Shaq's one of the most dominant. Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the most greatest centers to ever play the game. Looking at David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Bill Walton before the injury. These guys dominated the game because you had the double. They could score the most highest field goal percentage point. They could get to the foul line because they're going to get fouled, and they're so physically imposing you have to foul. So that puts you in foul trouble. So that depletes your bench and your starting center and everything like that. That completely hurts what you're trying to do on defense, because if you got a double, now you're collapsing, forces more rotations. If you watch the Lakers in that three-peat era, they forced the most collapses. There was nobody that could really guard Shaq, and that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That there's nobody that could guard Shaq in the paint. You can't guard that person. A big man that's skilled like Shaq, Kareem, Wilt, you can't guard them. There's nothing that you could really do to them. You can't do. You could do hack a Shaq, I guess, if they can't hit the free throws. But if Shaq was dedicated, he's hitting free throws now. So now you can't even do that. See, with a guy like a Stephen Curry or LeBron James, you could throw doubles at. You could slow them down. You could do things. You could play physical with them, like guards, like Kevin Durant. You could jam them up. Like, even though Kevin's gonna give you 30 or 40, but there are things you could do with these players. Somebody like Shaq, who was dominant, there was nothing you could do. Somebody like Wilt Chamberlain, who was dominant, nothing you could do. He was going to give you 40, 50 points, 25 rebounds, and there was nothing you could do, because the game, for all the greatest players, the game was made for big men. It was made for big men. They could just lay the ball in. They're taller than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Even if you look at the average height in the NBA, I think it's like 6'7" or something like that. And these guys are 7 feet. Shaq was 7 foot, 300 pounds. Now imagine if Shaq was 7 foot 1, 295, 290, with muscle just chiseled and dedicated to the game. They're winning 8 to 11 rings. There's no hyperbole about that. There's no question about that. There's no question. You really gotta think about it, because both of them being dedicated, Kobe and Shaq being dedicated, that reduces the friction. Shaq stays in shape. He's more dominant. He's more agile. And he's one of the first big men to run the break, move like a cat, but still dominant, punch you in the mouth, and get guys in foul trouble. I mean, by the end of the game, you're watching guys like Bryant, Grant. Shaq is getting guarded by small forwards like Chris Webber. I mean, small forwards / power forwards like Bryant, Grant, Chris Webber. Chris Webber gets in foul trouble. Now who's the next guy? You're down to your small forward. There's nobody that can guard him. So there's no hyperbole in what Kobe's saying. 12 rings, I don't think so. I think that is kind of crazy, but I think they win more than 6, but not more than 12. They win between 8 and 11. And that's just the deal right there, because like there's some players, they just have so much raw talent. If they executed the hard work, it would be like something else. It would be like something completely new that we've never seen before. Hoops Junction, where hoops meets hoopla. Like, comment, subscribe.